Hey there again, folks. Welcome back to my Let's Play of Remember 11, The Age of Infinity. Last time, Uni wasn't really happy about things, and Mayuzumi wasn't really happy about things either. At least from Satoru, anyway. And, yeah, let's get back to it. What does everything mean? Did the Uni from before, the Uni at Sphia, jump here right after the accident? If so, who was the Uni presently at the shelter cabin? After thinking it over for a while, I reached a single hypothesis. On the second day, even though I talked about what foods I liked in Sphia, the Uni at the shelter cabin knew them. From that, I deduced that Uni was undergoing personality changes as well, or maybe teleportation. However, at that time, I didn't know that the time periods between Sphia and the shelter cabin were different, so that deduction was abandoned. But in regards to Uni, when considering the difference in time periods, that the complexly entangled thread had more or less began to unwind. Putting aside the radio and the newspaper for now, you can guess the year from the people's testimonies. As they put their hand on the Bible, I testify that this year is 2011. As Sphia, the ones who said it was the year 2011 were Hattori and Uni. However, it feels like I can discard these two testimonies. Yeah, agree. Hattori Ibushi Keiko has the ID, so it's possible that she is aware of what year it is. After all, there's even a child's personality dwelling inside her. It wouldn't be odd for her sense of what year it is to be off. Yeah, I said that a few episodes back, didn't I? And then there's Uni. From the conversation with him before, I can't think of any other explanation than him transferring here from the accident. And therefore, his statement that this was the year 2011 is a given. The statements from Satoru and Itsumi that this is the year 2012 are correct. If he excludes the radio that broadcast it being 2011 and the newspaper that had information about the future written on it, in the world of Sphia, it's 2012. In the world of the shelter cabin, it's 2011. That's what it means. Satoru and I are under the assumption that our two personalities are jumping through time and space in our exchange. And on top of that, might Uni's personality be exchanging as well? Unlike us, the 2012 Uni and the Uni from right after the plane crash were being exchanged, switching back and forth into the same body of Kusuda Uni. Oh, is she thinking that? That would be a little confusing. That would be rather confusing. Yeah. Is she saying that he might be having personality exchanges with himself? That the consciousness of 2012 is jumping out of there and transferring into him of 2011? That has more merit than you would think. But well, the thing is, it wouldn't be a continuous one though, because it couldn't be a continuous one because he doesn't switch back at the same time. I mean, it is a continuous one because he's very different at the shelter cabin than he is at Sphia. He's actually more of the same kid that she knew in the airplane than the one at the cabin. So he would be the older personality, if you can say that. It would make sense, him knowing that would make sense for the uni in the cabin to know more about what's going on than he say it. You know, I mean, no more than he should. While the uni in that sphere would be a little bit more, yeah, in the dark in the situation. But yeah, that's I don't completely buy that theory though. I don't completely buy it. I think there's something even more going on with them. Let's try to trace Uni's movements. First off, Uni was caught up in an airplane crash on January 11, 2011. However, I don't know when. But it was safe somewhere. What was the cause and effect that brought the rescued Uni to Sphia and passing through into the year 2012? This is where it gets complicated, but the future Uni at Sphia in 2012 and the past Uni that survived the plane crash in 2011 are switching between one another. Right now, the Uni here at Sphia in the year 2012 is Uni immediately following the plane crash. And the Uni in the shelter cabin right now can otherwise be referred to as the future Uni. The future Uni is living in the past, apparently. That doesn't get confusing at all. Okay, she's agreeing with me, if that's the case. Don't know yet. No, I don't know yet if it was only once. However, it didn't appear that their personality exchange happened very frequently. Yeah, it's not like there's a manual. Ah! There's a manual. Personality Exchange 101. It explains it. Always read the manual. What an irritating feeling. This is probably what they call the feeling of chewing on sand. However, even though I don't know the rules of the personality exchange, there's one thing I do know. Look, there's a hair in my nose. The contradiction with the newspaper and radio has yet to be settled, but I should make sure to keep in mind that Sphia is in 12 and the shelter cabin is in 11. So with that decided, what should I do now? I decided to ask whether he was the future Uni that transferred there once I got back to the shelter cabin. That will go really well. Apparently she will not get to ask such a question. Hey Uni, are you from the future and are you the future self back in the past? Yep, that will totally not be a crazy question to ask. The next day I was standing on the snowfield. Snow reflecting the setting sun, dazzling my eyes. Why is it kind of grayed out? My shoulders heaved as I drew breath, as though I had been exercising strenuously. My exhalations hung in the air, white clouds that almost looked as though I could reach out and grab them. Uni screamed out, sounding frightened. He was running as if to flee the shelter cabin, headed for the grove of trees. Surprised to see him in this unusual state, I started to run after him. It was hard to run in that snow. My feet sank another 30 centimeters into the snow with every step. And gradually I began to feel my strength depleting. Following in the footprints he'd left, I pressed on. Having reached the grove of trees, Uni slipped in the snow and fell. He smacked his head on a tree root that had been hidden under the snow. That ain't good. Caught up with Uni. I helped Uni, his body half covered in snow, stand up. I rubbed his forehead. It seemed he'd hit it when he fell down. Here's what you just said. Uni had gotten back to his feet, but his hair was sticking out every which way. I gently brushed away the snow clinging to it. There was no injury to his forehead. You wouldn't see it unless you looked closely, but there was an old scar there. He hadn't gotten that just now, had he? Check the forehead when you get back to Sphia. See if there's a scar there. Wait a second. Seemed like there was a scar there at one point, wasn't there? Can't remember.
大丈夫。血は出てないよ。でも痛いんだってば。
Yunie's eyes were filling with tears as he tried to withstand the pain.
男の子でしょ。泣かないの。だってしょうがないな。
I gave Yunie a little kiss on the
痛い
forehead.
の痛いの。アンドロメダの彼方まで飛んでいけ。
Andromeda. I feel like something like that's been in here before. Oh, 3 pages. A galaxy approximately 2.5 million light years from Earth. A spiral galaxy, its shape is that of an elliptical coil. In Greek mythology, Andromeda was the name of an Ethiopian princess. Her mother, Cassiopeia, bragged that she was more beautiful than the sea nymphs known as the Nereids. The sea god Poseidon, who was fond of the Nereids, was angered by her words and sent a sea monster to lay waste to the coast of her kingdom. The king went to consult an oracle for help. This oracle told him that only by sacrificing Andromeda would return peace to the kingdom. Andromeda was chained to a rock and left as a sacrifice to the monster. At that time, Perseus, carrying the freshly severed head of the Medusa in a sack, happened to come along. He happened to be strolling by. Yo, what's up? Oh, dang, you gonna get killed. Luckily, I got this Medusa head. Yo, look at the Medusa head. They say. That's what it sounds like. Uncovering the head before the monster's eyes, Perseus turned it to stone. Perseus then took Andromeda to his wife. Yes, there's nothing that turns a lady on more than having a severed head in your bag that can also turn things to stone. I feel like there's a really, really dirty metaphor I can say there. Put your potentially dirty metaphors into the comments below if you can come up with one for that. When Andromeda died, she was placed among the stars and became a constellation alongside her husband Perseus, her father Cephas, her mother Cassiopeia, and the great sea serpent. However, because of Cassiopeia's pride, she was placed in the heavens such that the chair in which she sits appears upside down half the time. Yunie smiled shyly. His cheeks were turning red, and I don't think it was just because of the setting sun. Uh-oh. He mumbled it, but I could still hear him softly say that. Smiling, I nodded and pulled him back to his feet. Right. I brushed the snow from his clothes. As though to confirm something, and he asked me a question. After hearing that, a somewhat imprudent expression of relief came to Yunie's face. He hesitated. I don't know what was so hard for him to say, but it was most likely something that happened in the shelter cabin. Have things? Oh crap, things have turned bad. Just then I heard a scream from the cabin. Uh-oh. I heard that scream, Horrible scream in the background. Hey, Yunie, so, why'd you run away, by the way? I'm just curious why you ran away. Ignore that scream. Just answer my question. I would say hurry back to the cabin would be a good answer. That's the instinct, anyway. Because, I mean, sometimes it would be a good idea to ask some questions, but normally screams would, you would want to investigate pretty instantaneously. Well, actually, depending on the circumstances, you would want qualified professionals, such as the police, to answer the call there. But I don't think we're gonna catch a policeman around in these neck of the woods, so I think hurrying there would be a prudent idea. We looked at each other.
小屋に戻ろう。
She said it so calmly. Let's go back to the cabin. There's nothing bad at the cabin. Totally not a screaming person who may have just been violently killed. Following a trail of footsteps we left, we headed back to the cabin. That's what it sounded like. What I saw when we returned to the shelter cabin took my breath away. A dreadful scene had unfolded there. Something dark red was smeared around the edges of Mayuzumi's mouth, and beside her, Yomogi had fallen to the floor. Stains around Mayuzumi's mouth were blood?
まさかヨモギさんを。
To answer my questions, Mayuzumi looked around the edges of her mouth. The maddened eyes she looked at me with looked to me like those of a wounded beast. People who are stranded after an accident and run out of provisions, they fall into a horrible state like this. That horrifying thought had become lodged in my mind. Before such a scene of shattered human dignity, my lips began to tremble, but... Oh. It's a relief. I thought she was like trying to eat him or something. Mogi slowly picked himself up off the floor. In my relief, my legs lost their strength and I dropped to the floor on my knees.
よかった。
ちっとも良くないよ。
何があったんですか？
この女、チョコを一人で食っちまったんだ。目を離した隙に僕のバッグから奪ったんだ。それを咎めたら突き飛ばされた。くそ。
Mogi stood and dusted off his knees, scowling at Mayuzumi. He drew closer to
なんでそん
Mayuzumi.
なことするんだよ。それはみんなのものだろ。
あんたらいなくなったからさ、もういらないかなと思って。
So those dark red stains around her mouth, they were chocolate. She wiped them off with one finger, then licked it clean.
そんなわけないじゃないですか。なんで足を引っ張るような真似するんですか。
足を引っ張る？
みんなで協力しないと生きてはいけないんですよ。どうしてそんな勝手なことを。
Mayuzumi turned toward me with an insolent smile as though she were trying to start a
ど
fight.
うしてって決まってるでしょ。簡単な算数よ。1枚しかないチョコを全員で分けたら生き残れない。だけど私が一人で食べれば生きていける。だから食べたの。
みんなで決めたじゃないですか。食料はヨモギさんに任せるって。
このおっさんが信用できるかよ。私は知ってる。いざとなったらこのおっさんは簡単に人を見捨てるんだ。
どういうことだ。
飛行機が墜落した時、あんた私を見つける前にもう一人息のある人を見つけたでしょ。でもそいつのことは見捨てた。息があるのに助けようとしなかった。そうでしょ。
Mogi took a long deep breath, and when he finally spoke, his voice was filled with pain. His face darkened by 4 days' worth of stubble, distorted in
その
anguish.
通りだ。だが胸に飛行機の破片が突き刺さってた。もう助からないと思ったんだ。
ほら見なさい。
Mayuzumi thrust her finger at Yomogi as though in
この男は
triumph.
助からないと思ったら見捨てるようなやつなのよ。こんなやつに食い物を任せておくわけにはいかないでしょ。体力の劣る私たちを全員切り捨てるに決まってるわ。
I could feel my own voice turning shaky with rage. My nails dug painfully into the palm of my hands. But I dug them in even harder as I yelled
ヨ
out.
モギさんにあなたは助けられたんでしょ。それなのに そんなひどいこと言えるの。
言うと思った。助けてもらったから言うこと聞けって。冗談じゃねえよ。確かによもぎさんに私は救われたわ。今の私に指図する権利はない。
恩を感じたりしないんですか？
もちろん感じてるわよ。ここから生き残ったら一回やらせてあげようか。でもそのためにも私は生きて帰んなきゃいけないわね。
ふざけるな。
Whoa! Kokoro dropping the F-bomb! Wow! To be honest, that is some pretty mean stuff that Mayuzumi is saying. She don't care about nobody but herself. Perhaps I should have had Kokoro knock some sense into her before. Might have been the right answer earlier. I might have made the wrong decision earlier. Wow. Yeah. I'm not gonna say if there is a word that would describe Mayuzumi right now. My anger, I lost control and struck out at Mayuzumi. Dragging Mayuzumi crashed into the wall.
何すんだよ。
Mayuzumi got back on her feet and grabbed me. Sharp pain raced through my body as she pulled my hair.
痛い。私はあんたみたいなアマちゃんが一番嫌いなのよ。何の苦労もなくぬくぬく育ってきやがって。あんたさっさと死んじゃえば。そうすれば食いぶちが減るんだからさ。
In retaliation, I grabbed Mayuzumi by the collar. Trembling, shaking her back and forth, I answered her.
それを言うなら、あなたが消えればいいのに。あなたがいなければここはもっとうまくやれてた。あなたさえいなければ。
やめるんだ。
Amugi forced his way between us. Uni too was clinging to my back, murmuring in a barely audible voice.
心、でも
My eyes became blurry with tears of frustration and sorrow. Burying my face in Yamugi's chest, I wailed loudly. The things Mayuzumi had said were unforgivable, and I couldn't believe what I'd blurted out. That it'd be better if she weren't here. Tears came streaming down my cheeks. Looking at me in that state, Mayuzumi spat these words out at me.
あんた泣けば誰かが助けてくれると思ってやがる。あんたみたいなのが真っ先に死ぬタイプ。
Mayuzumi continued while sneering at me. Sometimes the people who are assholes get killed first. But,
そもそもね、苦しい時こそ助け合わなきゃいけないっていうのは幻想なのよ。世間はね、他人を蹴落として成り立ってんの。世界は弱肉強食なのよ。
そうだな。君の言う通り。君を命がけで助けた僕はとびきりのバカだ。
じゃあ今から殺す？私のこと。
いや、僕はバカだが最後の瞬間まで人間でありたいんでね。だからそんな真似はしない。
Mayuzumi snorted through her nose and leaned against the wall. What Yamugi should do is tie her up and throw her out in the snow. That'd be pretty cruel. I'm assuming that would be less painful than starving to death, though. Wait a minute. I stopped crying and Yamugi helped me sit on the bed. Then he sat down on the bed too, along with Uni. We'd already used the table and chairs for firewood, so there was nothing else in the room to sit on.
食べ物を誰か一人が管理するというのはやめよう。
Mayuzumi, who had sat down facing away from us, now sneaked a sidelong glance at
残っ
Yamugi.
た食料を4等分して各自が保管するんだ。
Yamugi produced a hardtack biscuit from his bag. Only 2 cans of emergency rations were left, and those comprised our entire food supply. Yamugi opened one of those cans with a psh sound, the contents of the can were exposed to the air. That sound was as though a starter's pistol had been fired to signal our unstopping march toward the edge of a cliff.
Mayuzumi, 君が4つに分けるんだ。
私が？
ああ、君が4等分して僕たちが選ぶ。君は残った1つだ。
不公平な結果にしたくなければ私が頑張って当分しろってことね。
ああ、Mayuzumiが一番文句を言いそうだからな。
He brought off the now empty can that had held the biscuits, carefully as though carrying out a mock scientific experiment. Mayuzumi divided the biscuits into 4 shares. Yomogi, Uni, and I each chose from the 3 of them. Mayuzumi picked up the last one, then holding it to her chest, she gritted her teeth at us and
これ
glared.
は私のだからね。取るんじゃないわよ。
泥棒が何言ってるんだ。
黙れガキ。人間命がかかったら何だってするのよ。
Sighing deeply, Yomogi said,
この食料で今日節約すれば明日ぐらいまでは持たせられるだろう。それ以降は食料なしだ。各自覚悟して食べてくれよ。
A small empty can with only half a biscuit placed in it, it made me feel very uncertain. Can I live on only this? An uneasy feeling spread through my chest, like a lethal poison.
とっても少ないね。
Something worried himself, and he peered into the can.
分配するのは嫌だったんだ。食料が少ないと実感すると不安になるだろ。この不安感ってのが厄介なんだ。不安は希望を殺す。絶望は恐怖を呼ぶ。恐怖は破滅を運んでくる。
Did he just go Yoda all over us or something? Anger leads to... Wait, what was it? I can't remember, but it was in episode 1, wasn't it? It's talking about what would lead to the dark side or something like that. Muttering this regretfully, Yomogi gently stroked Jenny's hair.
心配だろうけど気にしないようにするんだ。
セージ。
Her face had been expressionless, but I suddenly saw Mayuzumi's eyebrows shoot up. With a precious can under her arm, Mayuzumi turned back toward the bed. As she wrapped herself up in the blanket, her body began trembling. Biting her nails, she began muttering in complaint. Her words, so faint that they barely reached my ears, were,
死ねない。あの人に会うまでは死ねない。
What person? She talking about Satoru or something? Because there's definitely a connection between the two. I think that's gonna be it. This is getting tense. Drama and stuff. Wow. I don't know if I made the right decision or not last time. I thought there for a while I didn't, and then I don't know. Maybe this is one of those games where it's really hard to make the correct decision, then you just make decisions. If this is one of those games that have multiple good endings based on how you do. It's got 33 endings, so I mean, it's possible. Several of them gotta be pretty good. They're not all failures, I would assume anyway. So I do hope you folks enjoyed this episode, and I shall see you in the next one. Farewell there, folks.